How many of you know the name Linda Goff or Sarah Marsland? I bet you will have heard of their murderers though, Fred West and Harold Shipman. Hi everybody, this is Steve, the host of True Crime Fix, the podcast which gives the story whilst giving the victim the loudest voice of them all. So far we've covered cases such as Colette Aram, Kitty Genovese, Jackie Paul, JC Sawyer and Molly McLaren. I'll be releasing new episodes every other Friday via Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify and all other available stations. So please come over and subscribe and give my podcast a listen. I really hope that you find these episodes informative. If you would like further information, please follow me on Twitter at True Crime Fix Pod or find me on Facebook, True Crime Fix Podcast. And remember, stay safe, look after each other and live life to the fullest, because you never know who or what might be coming around the next corner. Take care, everyone.
You are listening to In a City Like Yours, a semi-monthly podcast featuring interesting people with interesting life stories. This podcast may contain language and/or subject matter not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm your host, Michael G. Moore. Please visit our website at inacityLikeYours.com. That's INACITYLIKEYOURS.com for links to our social media, all popular podcast platforms, and links of interest pertaining to all episodes. On this episode, I chat with Jax. Jax is a transgender male who came out to his mother at the age of 8. He would receive the loving support of his mother early on, and later from the friends he would meet through attending transgender support groups. Not only is he transgender, but he has been diagnosed with Aspergers and with occasional bouts from seizure disorder. He also experienced bullying in his high school years. Join us as we discuss his transition and personal growth from the age of 8 to his current age of 28. Here is Jack's story.
Okay, my name is Jax Cage Schmidt. I prefer to go by Jax Cage, though. I'm going to be talking about growing up in the South as a transgender individual. And earliest memory is coming out at 8 years old to my mom, who took it fairly well, being a Southern Baptist woman. She actually supported me throughout the whole entire transition, so that was pretty unbelievable.
What was it like coming out to her? What was the situation? At 8 years old, what did you understand about sexuality?
That I didn't really understand anything about sexuality, I would say. It's two separate things, but I knew my gender, and I knew that the body I was in was not the gender I was supposed to be. Basically, you kind of, would say that you kind of figure out your gender pretty early on, and or at least with transgender individuals you do. And
so you knew something was not right.
Yes.
Okay, with the way you looked and how you felt was different than what your body was showing.
Yes. And I did mature early on. I mean, I didn't actually have my first menstruation until I was 10, but...
Well, that's pretty young.
Yeah. And actually, I thought I was dying, because it happened during the middle of the night, and my mom hadn't talked to me yet about it. So I actually thought I was dying.
Well, you had mentioned before when we talked that you had seizures as a child. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How old were you when you were diagnosed with seizure disorder?
Um, I was. It was from the ages of 2 to 5.
So you don't? Do you remember that at all? Were you too?
No, I
You
do
were too
not.
young.
Yes.
And you'd said too that you've been diagnosed with Aspergers.
Yes, at 3 years old. At that time, I was also put in special ed classes.
So Asperger is just a form of autism. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Well, I'm interested in what that is like for you. Is it something that you're aware of in your day-to-day life?
Definitely.
Like how?
Uh, well, just say I'm not aware of some of the social skills or like social cues that other people are aware of. And then with the Asperger's and the microcephaly, both of them, there's like some limits on what I can and can't do. And for one thing, I've been lately frustrated with the fact that I can't really support myself on my own. So I'm like actually looking into like community living homes or whatever. Or just in like stuff that helps people who are mentally disabled or intellectually.
How old are you now?
28.
28, and you live at home.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. Okay. You'd also mentioned that during your school years you were bullied. How were was your school life in grade school?
It wasn't that bad in grade school. I mean, I was bullied, but it wasn't so bad as it was in high school. In high school, it was like every day, and it was just so bad that it was pretty frustrating in high school. So I had to go to Shreve for a year because they didn't have a.
That's Captain Shreve High School in Shreveport.
Captain Shreve High School in Shreveport, and because they didn't have the math class I needed at Caddo Magnet High here in Shreveport as well. So I had to go to Captain Shreve for that year. And I was just tortured, like bullied mercilessly.
What grade was that?
I was homeschooled for middle school, and like there's like a mix up like when I actually ended up going back into public school. So I mean, it was kind of like I think I did my freshman year twice.
And that's when you went to Shreve in your freshman year?
Yes.
Being bullied is a horrible thing to have to go through. I've been through it myself,
Yeah.
and I know several people who have as well. For you, what was the bullying like?
It was just like things that they said, like, I don't know if I actually should say what they said, but
It's okay if it's too difficult to talk about. I understand.
yeah, it kind of is.
Okay, so let's just move on. So you were bullied in your freshman year, and then after that, everything was fine. You went back to, was it Caddo Magnet?
Yeah, I went to Caddo Magnet. I didn't go back, but yeah. I was homeschooled for middle school. Went to Tree for that year and then went to Magnet. It was better at Magnet, but there was this one guy from my church that kind of bullied me, but it wasn't as bad. So.
Okay, you had mentioned that you were very, I don't know, religious. Would you call yourself very religious or very spiritual?
Spiritual, yeah.
And you had problems with your family church when you were younger?
Yeah. I thought the youth group was kind of cliquey when I was first going there, so I stopped. And then I got enough courage to go back in my 20s, my early 20s, and then, but the only choices was a singles class or a men's class. And not a singles class, a couples class, and a men's class. And at the time I was single, so I decided to go to the men's class. It was kind of awkward for me because it was with all the dads of the kids that were in the youth group with me. But I enjoyed it, and it didn't seem like the dads had any or the other men had a problem with me being there. But then the pastor came up to me later on and told me that they weren't going to accept my gender change and that I needed to find another church.
Were you able to find another church that would accept you?
Yes, I've actually found 2 other churches and a synagogue.
Okay, are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish, but I went to school with the rabbi's sons, and then the rabbi knew me when I was like 10. So I'm pretty comfortable with her. It's Rabbi Jana. You've been in Dedi, and the temple is right by my house, so I can actually walk to it. While the churches are kind of further away, so I can't really get to them all the time. I usually have to get a ride to All Souls out on Ellerby, and then I also go to Unity Church, which is on Stoner Avenue.
Um, you had mentioned also that you were hospitalized with depression?
Yeah, I have severe depression and severe anxiety.
When was that? Was that recently, or was that back when
Uh,
you were younger?
no, that was recent. That was like a couple weeks ago. So I was just dealing with the whole thing about not being able to take care of myself, and the fact that as a 28-year-old almost going to be 30 and not really being able to take care of yourself on your own without having your family or something or someone helping you, that's kind of hard. And then the fact that both of my best friends live in another state and I just feel isolated. I just couldn't take it anymore, and so I checked myself into a mental hospital.
What was that experience like for you?
It was a new one. I mean, I've had times when I was depressed and needed to go to a hospital or something, but it was the first time where I actually stayed more than one night. I actually stayed in there for 6 nights. I went in on a Wednesday. I was released on a Monday. And it was good. I mean, everyone was nice and everything, but on Saturday, I either this is totally confusing to me because people at the hospital said I had a seizure, and then the people at the ER said that I just fainted. But either way, on Saturday, I either had a seizure or fainted and ended up in the ER. And the ER, one of the ER doctors was misgendering me to his coworkers. I guess he didn't think I could hear him, but I was able to hear him, and yeah.
Now, you hadn't had any seizures between your childhood and then. Is that correct?
As far as I know, no, but some of my friends have told me that they thought I had seizures when I was like 25, and then like maybe 27. But
yeah, I realize you don't realize when you're having a seizure that you're having one.
No, when I actually, I mean, if that's true, then I haven't had seizures, but if that's not true about seizures, then then I just fainted, because I always know when it's about to happen. But we're planning on going to see a neurologist after this recent one.
But you haven't been to a neurologist since you were a child, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't know how comfortable you are talking about it, but would you like to go into a little bit more about your what you've gone through with being transgender, and if you've had any surgeries, and how important maybe the surgeries are to your mental state?
Yeah. I mean, other than being misgendered at the hospital after like fainting at the mental hospital, I haven't really had any bad experiences with anybody in the medical field or anything, so I consider myself lucky that way. And then as far as surgeries, I had medically necessary hysterectomy at the age of 25 because I had endometriosis, yes, and cysts on my ovaries. So, yeah, I had that when I was 25, and my mom's insurance paid for it. Then, also at the age of 25, I had a mastectomy in Miami, Florida. My own insurance, Medicare, paid for that. And I had it with Dr. Christopher Salgado, which I thought at the time was a good doctor, but after finding out that apparently he's somehow transphobic and misogynistic and all this stuff, I would not recommend him. And now I'm looking forward to bottom surgery. I've got a couple consultations scheduled for this summer, but I would definitely say if a transgender person is looking forward to surgery, it will definitely help their mental state. Because I know there are some transgender people that don't want surgery. all they want is like the hormones, or even sometimes they want one surgery but not the other. But for me, it's all or nothing.
Do you know what to expect with the bottom surgery?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
Well, like they take the skin from your arm, your forearm, to actually make the penis. And there's some pretty bad scarring on your arm afterwards. But that'll go away in time, and anyway, I plan on getting some tattoos on my arm afterwards. And then they do it in a couple of stages. Like, do the phalloplasty in a couple of stages.
And when you probably wind up with a pump.
Yeah, at the end. Well, they do implants. They do implants. And then, yeah, there will be a pump in, like, one of the actual balls that you can, like, squeeze and, become erect. So, yeah.
Now, you said also that you had a gastric bypass surgery.
Yes, that was around 25 as well. So I had like a bunch of surgeries around 25 years old. And I lost 140 pounds, but mainly I lost 140 because they didn't take my gallbladder out at the same time, and which they're supposed to with a surgery like that. And so I got sludge in my gallbladder.
Is that something you're going to have surgery for later?
No, I already had the emergency gallbladder surgery. So at first, the doctor didn't believe me that something was wrong, and they thought I was just overeating, and to the point where I was making myself throw up. But turns out that I had sludge in my gallbladder, and we ended up having emergency gallbladder surgery.
What kind of support is there for transgender youth and, I guess, adults? Are you a member of any organizations?
Yes, Louisiana Trans Advocates. We meet every first Sunday of the month at All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church on Ellerby Road at 1:30. And there's also Pace. But I know, like, high schoolers for Louisiana Trans Advocates, anyone's allowed to come. Even if you're just an ally, you can come. But Pace or Pacey, that's for high school aged to college age kids. And so I have never been, because I'm not really, I guess you could say, a college-aged kid anymore, so.
So you get along with your mom really well, and she's very accepting of your transgender. Are the rest of your family okay with it?
Yes. One of my brothers, not so much, but he got over it when I was still in college. It's kind of funny. I was actually in the library at school that day on Facebook while I was working on an assignment, and I checked my notifications, and it was that brother of mine that wasn't really accepting, asking to list me as his brother on Facebook. So the rest of the day I couldn't stop smiling. I have 2 brothers and a sister. But yeah.
So how about the rest of the community? You said your friends are out of the city or out of state?
Yeah, they were. I met them at Louisiana Trans Advocates at All Souls, and we just became best friends pretty early on, and then like one moved to Massachusetts. Elias Capello. He moved to Boston, Massachusetts, and TJ Graves moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and then now Eli is moving to Atlanta, Georgia as well. So they're both going to be in Georgia, and I'm still here. I'm hoping eventually I can move back to Georgia, because I did move to Georgia for 6 months. That's as long as I could make it last. But I fell in love with Georgia when I was there the first time, and then now both of my best friends are there, so I really want to eventually move back there. So I'm hoping that we can, I guess, network with some people here about the disability services, and then find some people in Atlanta, Georgia that do the same, and so I can move there eventually.
Well, if you were going to give advice to a youth or even an adult who is going through what you went through, what would that advice be?
I'd say just keep on, try to be patient, keep on chugging along. You'll get there. Because I definitely thought I would never get to the point where I would have top surgery, but I did. And it feels so amazing to be able to look down and see a flat chest. So just keep on being patient and saving money if you have to, or fighting with the insurance company, whatever you have to do to get your surgery. Because it'll happen.